Dungeons and coffee!
Greetings.
This little house is based on the Little House on the Prairie home. I went with a one-story structure because my town is a mining town. So I went with something a little smaller. And this style of siding is called board and batten. And that was, they made that with big boards that just stick on the outside of the home. And that was the siding. And then on the seams, over the seams of those big boards, they put smaller boards to help seal that and keep out the weather. And this is the house that's going to have the shingles on top as well.
Concerning shingles!
Okay, we'll make some shingles here. I've talked about shingles in other episodes. I'll put a link up top somewhere about that. But here's just a quick run through. Here's how I make my shingles. Just cut some strips. Cut them not quite all the way through, all the way across. Then as you can see, I go back and cut out little chunks, little chips here and there in the shingles to give it some sporadic, worn look. These are going to be wood shingles, by the way, so I want them to look a little choppy. But that's pretty much all there is to it. And then when you get your strips, you just glue them onto the roof in layers. You start with your bottom layer and just overlap over top of that, glue that one down, and so on and so on. Very easy, very quick way to make shingles. You could use hot glue on this step, but just because I like to slide the shingles around in case they don't fit quite right, I went ahead and used Elmer's glue in this case.
Windows!
These windows are the ones, I actually cut these windows out so you could see through them into the home. You're not going to see anything in there really other than just some light here and there that gives it a more realistic look. So that's one style of windows you can do. I'll show you another style later on. I have an older video where I deal specifically with doors, so I won't spend a lot of time on doors in this particular episode. I'm going to use two styles to show you how I do my quick and easy windows. So here's the first style, and this is the window that I'm going to put over top of the hole that I've cut. So I've cut the window frame out in my little house on the prairie house, if you want to call it that. And this is the window that you want to be able to see through. So here's how I make those. Watch closely, it's really quite simple. A little glue and a little patience. There's not much to it. If you choose to use hot glue like I'm using here, make sure you use very little because you don't want that to glob up and be seen through the glass. There we go. A little press, and we got it. Now you just do this all the way around with your four sides or edges of the window, and then you'll put your pane in the middle after that. My hands are pretty shaky, as you can see. These windows are quite a pain. Pain. Yeah, so get it? Pain. Yeah. And you might have to use tweezers when it gets tedious with the little pieces in the middle. There you go. All right then. Now here's the method you can use for your windows, which is even faster, because with this method you're not cutting the frame into the side of the building. You're just going to put your siding over the building and then glue the windows on after you're done. It's much faster to move along that way. And it still looks pretty good. So I'll show you that one real quick. You're pretty much going to do the same thing that you just saw with the other kind of window, but here I'm gluing everything to this black paper. That allows me to move much quicker. And you just size them up and glue them down. Here what I'm doing is I'm just dipping the edges of the wood into the Elmer's glue, because the edges are the only part that's going to have any contact with the other part of the window frame. Some of it will get on the paper, but that's okay. That'll just help it hold better and give it some more strength. So ideally, what you can do is just get you a black sheet of construction paper and make a whole bunch of windows all at once. And when they're done, you just cut them off the paper and you've got a whole bunch of windows to use. So windows, shingles and all, this is what you'll get. So now you're ready to paint and stick your doors on there.
Concerning siding.
Okay, I've went ahead and cut off a lot of strips of cardstock. You can use paper too. Just make sure you don't use. Make sure if you use paper, make sure it's kind of thick. Maybe a greeting card or something along those lines. But I've cut a bunch of strips here and glued them on. And these are the clapboard. This is the clapboard style of siding. And what you'll notice here is you don't want it to look too perfect. This is the Old West. It's an old mining town, gold rush town. So these buildings were kind of slapped together. They've been here a while, a little dilapidated maybe. So an occasional crack in through the sideboards is a good thing. And you want to cut, you don't want the board to fit all the way across in every situation. So you want to give it a little character. And once you paint it up, it's going to look fantastic. Now here on the edges, in an actual building, they would have used two boards to kind of bring together and make a little corner protective piece. But what I'm going to do, because it's a small scale, and I'm going to use one piece and fold it in half, and then that's just going to fit over this corner. It's going to look a lot more neat that way. And I'm going to give this building, this is going to be a mercantile, so general goods store. So what I'm going to do is give it a tar paper roof. There was three really main types of roofs you would have seen in the Old West. One of the really common ones, of course, was the tar paper roof because it was inexpensive, it was quick to lay down. You could buy it in sheets, and it was easy to transport by railroad. So we're going to make a tar paper roof. So we're just going to crinkle up some paper, cut it in sheets, and then glue that on. And when it's done, we'll paint it a very dark gray. We'll do a little dry brushing after that too, not much. And that'll give us our tar paper roof. Roof.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
Now I recommend Tacky Glue for tar paper roofs because when you glue it down, the little bit that hangs over the edge, you can just pinch the edges here like so, and it'll hold down, it'll conform to the shape of that roof. So it makes things a lot faster and easier for you. So Tacky Glue is what I would recommend for this. Meanwhile, 3 hours later. Here I've installed the first window so you can see what that looks like, and with the door I've had a change of heart. With the door I was going to literally add a door and put it in that little recess, but I like the way that the cardboard from the box is showing through, and it recesses back about the right space. So what I did is took some brown colored pencil and just put some rough lines in there. So I'm just gonna use that as the door as is. I'll stick a knob on there, of course. So if you've decided to use this quick method, now you're ready to install your windows wherever you like.
Concerning paint.
All right, I want to paint these in a very specific way, so I'm going to talk you through this a little bit because it is specific. So I want this to look as if it was painted by hand with a hand brush, as they would have used back then in the 1800s. So start in the corner. Make sure you get your paint under the edge there, so you don't get any on your trim. If you do, it's okay. You can paint over it. So if you see how it looks really splotchy, and it's going to be more faded in some areas than others, more in some than others, that's a good thing. That's going to make it look weathered and hand painted, and it also allows me to take advantage of this cardboard that soaks up that paint really fast. So that's going to give me the exact look that I want.
Concerning storefront siding.
Alright, I got carried away and didn't film this, but here's the sign that I'm going to stick on the front of the mercantile. And this is just one wide piece of cardboard, and then I put edges on it with some smaller cardboard strips just to frame it. And if you look closely, I took a razor and I cut 3 lines on the base of that wide piece of cardboard, and that way what it did is it give it the appearance that it was made out of several boards. And by the way, the white paint, you'll notice it looks pretty dingy. I did that on purpose. I kind of blotched it with some very light tan, yellowish tan, mixed in with the white, so that in certain places it would look more yellowish than others, because I want this to be a dingy sign. Keep in mind, this has been out in the weather for a while. It's an old western mining town, so you don't want things to look too clean and pretty. Character, man. Give some character. Character. Alright, here you go. Puckett Brothers Mercantile. General Goods. It's opening day, and they've already got a dire wolf at the door. Yep, I stole that from Larry. If you're watching, Larry, I stole your joke.
Remember, keep your books off the table and keep reaching for the dice.
Thanks a heck of a lot for watching, everybody. Remember to like, share, subscribe. I need all the help I can get because I'm not very internet savvy. I don't advertise or nothing like that.